welcome to another episode of True Bumman's InTRUview. I'm Jeff Kraft, and on this episode, we're in Olympia, Washington, which is about an hour south of Seattle. Now, we've been all over the country meeting owners of small labs and big labs. This episode, it's a pretty big lab. Let's go inside. So now the owner, Bob, started this over 30 years ago, and he embraced technology from the very beginning. But then he hired a guy named Paul that took it to a whole nother level. Speaking of, here's Paul here. Paul?
Hey Jeff, how's it going?
How you doing, bud?
Hey, come on back, let's see Bob.
Okay, perfect. Can't wait to talk to you about how you got started with Bob as well. Oh, there is the man himself.
Hey
Bob.
Jeff, how you doing?
Ziemek, how are you?
Welcome
nice
to Ziemek
meet
Dental
you.
Lab.
I want to find out more about you guys, how you came together, and how you got started in this industry. I'm in the lobby. I'll meet you guys there. I want to find out all about you guys. First, Bob, I want to dive back to where this all started. I know a little bit about you, and I know that your whole goal, your entire life, is you want to make people feel good. You want to help them feel good about themselves and look good. But how did that start? Where did you get that internal feeling that's what you want to do to give back?
Actually, I got my training in the United States Air Force. So I went in the Air Force, open general, and which I could have been a cook or whatever, but after the aptitude test on the 6th day of training, and they tell you what you're going to be. And they said, you're going to be a dental lab technician. And I said, what is that? So I looked it up in the manual, and it said, making teeth. And from that point, I knew that's what I wanted to do, so I could just help people feel good about, their appearance. So I went to basic training, then got transferred over to Okinawa. And on Kadena Air Force Base in Okinawa, I was able to get trained by Robert Rudd and Keith Smith, both prosthodontic doctors over there. So I got some really, really good training. And then I went to Travis Air Force Base for 2 years. It gave me a great experience as far as working with the dentist, training the dentist, and kind of knowing what each dentist wanted. So it was a great experience.
So Paul, as a general manager, Bob was told what he was going to do from the Air Force. How did you get involved in this crazy world of the dental lab industry?
Well, I've always really been into technology and computers, and at one time I decided to become an AutoCAD drafter. So I was going to design custom homes and design and build my own custom homes. As the economy kind of took a downturn, I went back to the community college where I had got my college degree for AutoCAD drafting, and was working in the program there where Bob had placed an ad looking to see if he could take somebody with the technology skill and teach him the dental side. So I came on with Ziemek early on with technology in mind and helped go down this digital path that we're on today.
And how long ago was that when you answered that ad?
That would be going on 12 years now.
So over the last 12 years, Bob, the imagery and the technology moving forward to where it is now, you adopted this a long time ago. What brought you to that point? Because it takes many people in the dental lab or just the dental offices much longer to accept that.
Yeah. Well, it's been kind of a long road. We started early on, like in around I think it was 2003, 2004. It's when the Lava chairside or the chairside oral scanner from 3M came out, COS, and the first night that it was available on the West Coast, I had seven of my doctors, sign up to buy a digital scanner. So we had a pretty good acceptance of digital scanners, and we were actually CNC milling out lava crowns. So it was kind of moving in that direction, and then we wanted to find somebody like with Paul's talent. We knew it was going to be computer, digital, milling. So we were kind of putting our feelers out for a different type of technician. Somebody that could come in and run the machines. And thankfully Paul signed up one day because it's kind of funny because he's been my IT guy, my computer guy, he's had all these names, but now he is the general manager and he's been doing a phenomenal job.
How did you get from a 3-person ran company to where you're over 80 in this office here? Let's go back to that point first.
It's been kind of like in stages. I think the biggest thing is when we started doing our own milling of crowns. So we were kind of, you know, there was a few labs in the Northwest, and we were kind of like the digital lab. But we always kept focus on quality, you know, margin integrity, contours, contact, occlusion, things that, you know, help the doctors as far as time savings when they put that crown in the patient's mouth, but also, you know, the aesthetic quality of it too. So, I mean, you can mill out CNC crowns, but if it doesn't match the mouth, then we're out of luck. But I think that it's just hiring the right people on, getting them trained well, and then, you know, taking steps and moving up in different stages. And there's been sometimes where, you know, there's been a little bit more of an explosion as far as, you know, we'll take 10, 15 people on at a time, and then it kind of settles down a little bit. We kind of get trained and kind of get things figured out. But yeah, I think we're at 92 now, right?
92.
92.
Wow.
Yeah.
Bob, did you ever expect the company to grow to where it is now? In your wildest dreams, did you think, you know what, I'm going to have almost 100 people, a family working out of the same building, all with the same common goal? Did that ever cross your mind?
No, I think, you know, I've been around a long time. You can see all my gray hair, but I think at one time, Jim Glidewell had put a thing out that, you know, his company was doing, and this is way back. It was like a $4 million company a year, and I was talking to one of my buddies, and I'm like, you know what, I would like to get there. and yeah, it's surpassed. I think the other thing too is Paul was at the time the CAD manager, but we got each other as far as, you know, trying to push the ball forward, as, you know, new techniques, new settings, new parameters. So we really worked hard to dial that stuff in. And at that point in time, being the owner of the dental lab, I was still at the bench. So what my job would be is to handle the tough calls, but also handle the tough impressions. So I was under a microscope, sometimes trimming upwards of, you know, 150 dies a day myself, plus doing the other stuff. And then Paul would walk by my desk, and he'd be like, hey, look at this. And I'd be like, oh, I want that. And so anyway, it took about a year or two, and then we decided to basically only work with doctors with digital scanners. So that really pushed us over the edge. And we did that 8 months before COVID hit. You know, I was talking to a lot of people in the industry, and, you know, some were like, yeah, that's a real ballsy move, and some were like, dude, you're an idiot. but I knew what we wanted. Both Paul and I knew that's where we wanted to go. So we took the gamble, and we lost some pretty big accounts. But as you know, once we moved into it, I would say maybe like what, 25 or so, 25% kind of came along, bought scanners. We kind of worked with them, but then it just allowed us to grow from, you know, across the country. Now we're in like 45 states, and a lot of our growth just comes from, you know, doctors having a great experience with what we're doing digitally. They pass it along to their study club friends, or they, you know, talk to a doctor and they buy a scanner. Maybe it's a different scanner, and they say, hey, you know, use Ziemek, because they have a whole digital, you know, program that'll help you get up and running with it.
So for the dental labs, you know, owners that are coming up, and maybe they're going through the Air Force, maybe they've heard of the industry, they want to be, maybe not go through the schooling as a, you know, opening a dentist office. Maybe they're transferring from a dentist going into a lab. What advice would you give them?
Yeah, I think I was thinking about this morning, and I think that, you know, what I would say is, you know, learn the fundamentals of dental lab technology, and then transition that into design, you know, computer-aided stuff that we're doing. Just having the ability to kind of gain that knowledge of the fundamentals. And sometimes when I see people come in, it takes a little bit longer than like how I started out. You know, I think it's the Air Force manual. I can't remember the name of it, but, you know, it takes you through, you know, facial contours and contacts and occlusion and all that kind of stuff. But just learning the basics.
All right, so Paul, on behalf of True Abutment, we have a gift for you, and we want you to give this to a specific department, and it looks like it's the implant department. Thanks a lot for being a part of the family.
No problem. Thanks, Jeff. Here you guys go. Great job, everyone. Thanks for all your hard work.
Crack it open. All right, what do we get? Oh, yeah.
That's awesome.
Hook up a phone.
Great.
Let's rock out.
1, 2, 3.
Bob, Paul, I appreciate you letting me come over and take a look at this truly amazing success story. You have built an incredible laboratory, and you couldn't have done it without this guy, of course.
All right. Pleasure having you, Jeff.
Thanks a lot, Paul. Appreciate it. Well, that is going to do it. Another episode of InTRUview in the books. Join us next time as we continue to find great success stories just like that. Until then, see ya.